Beauty, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to spend a little time talking about Barack Obama's memoir, A Promised Land. I got this book as a gift from the publishers, so I want to be upfront about acknowledging that this is a complimentary copy that I was reading, but this gift in no way influenced my opinions about this book. Barack Obama is someone who I've admired. I've admired his political career since he was a senator, and I so enjoy his writing. I've read his two earlier books, which I purchased myself, so this was a gift, but it was a book that I probably would have purchased myself, and I loved it. So in this video, I just want to talk a little bit about my experiences reading the book. If you're looking for a little bit more comprehensive discussion of what each part of the book talks about, I also did a series of Instagram TV videos. They're on my Instagram IGTV, and if you're on Instagram, you can check me out over there. I did a series of videos where for each part I did a separate video, so you can watch those videos and see what each part of the book speaks about. In today's video, I'm just going to do a little bit of an overview, and so I'll tell you that I love the book. I think it's very well written. Barack Obama is someone who I admire his writing ability. I have read his two earlier books. I thought that they were really engrossing, and I thought they were the perfect way to really bring his character and what he hoped to relate to the American people. I thought that they were a really good vehicle for him publicizing his intentions, and so I think he carries that into this book. Here, he doesn't spend a lot of time rehashing things that he talked about in those earlier books. So in the first few pages of this book, he mentions his early life. He talks about the people who helped him become who he is. He talks about his mother and his grandmother and the influence that they had on his life. He talks about his father and, you know, his father's brief spot in his life. I don't know how else to sum that up, but in this book he really focuses on meeting his wife, becoming involved in organizing, and his foray into public service, what that meant to become a community organizer and a state senator and a US senator, and the decision to run for the presidency of the United States. And it also covers the first couple of years of his presidency. Barack Obama is a skilled writer, and he is also long-winded. He acknowledges that in the beginning of the book. He mentions that in someone else's hands, maybe a ghostwriter or another biographer, that this would have been a much shorter book, but he wanted to use this opportunity, use this platform to acknowledge the people who have helped him. And so he uses this as a testament to the people who have worked to help him get to where he has gotten and help him accomplish the things that he has done. So he mentions relationships, and he talks at length about things that he has accomplished with other people's help, and he credits them. I think he does a really good job of doing that, of acknowledging other people. And I think it's the mark of someone great to not just speak about the things that you have done, but to also mention the people who've helped you do those things. He also, of course, mentions the people who tried to dissuade him, the people who tried to hinder his progress. And so while he speaks about his accomplishments in public office, he also talks about how people have made it their platform to try to negate everything that he would do. What he does do in this book, however, and does very well, is he gives us a little bit of the history behind some of what we might know from having observed his presidency and listened to the news or read newspapers or blogs or whatever makes you think that you know the history. He also gives a little bit of the backstory, history through the eyes of a historian, but also through the eyes and from the pen of the person who is writing that history and making that history. History from the pen of the hero. Because in a lot of ways, Barack Obama tried to be a hero for American people and really for the world. In this book, he talks about the responsibility that he had to shoulder as a leader of the free world, and the decisions that he was often called upon to make, knowing that for any decision that he made, he was going to have to sacrifice something or someone or some people, some nation who was going to suffer a little bit of the brunt of the decisions that were being made. But you know, he's real with the reader. He talks about what that decision entailed and how it weighed on him. He talks about having to shoulder the responsibility of not just making that decision, but also keeping from people in his life, keeping from his wife sometimes, how difficult those decisions were. He goes a little bit into the backstory of contemporary history. So there's a place here where he talks about peace, the attempts to broker peace in the Middle East, the continuing strife between Israel and Palestine, and he gives a little bit of the history going through the centuries, why there have been conflicts between those two nations, and how the different dynamics have changed over time, over the generations, as the different peoples have changed themselves and their relationship to the other party has changed, and why it has been difficult for the United States and for the United Nations and for other countries to help broker peace, and what peace looks like as the generations have changed. So I thought that this was a really introspective look at world politics and giving a little bit of why things are the way they are. In this book, he goes through several such events, and what's the word? He goes through several ideas that we might have about the world and gives us a little bit of a closer look into why things may not be exactly as they seem. He talks about relationships that he developed with other world leaders, whether they were positive or not. And I just really enjoyed this inner look, this really intimate look at the presidency and the job of the president, and the difficulties that he had. I also really appreciate his ability to write narrative and to give us history and very involved nonfiction, but also to include nods to the literary giants and readers of literature, readers and lovers of literature. So there are places here where he will mention works of literature that were important to him and influential on him, and him mentioning them just connects with literature lovers and readers of all ilk. And I thought that this book was just so beautifully written. This, of course, is the first of his presidential memoirs. There is a promise of at least one other book to come, and while this was 700 pages and it did take me a while to read it, I'm so looking forward to the next installment, and I would read it next month if it was released. So this is my short take on Barack Obama's memoir, A Promised Land, and this is my invitation to you to also pick this up. I know not everyone is interested in reading from contemporary presidents. I have a few people that I read with who are interested in reading presidential biographies or maybe presidential memoirs, but they're not looking to pick this one up now just because they don't want to read about present times. But unless that is something that you have decided on, if you are a little on the fence about whether or not to pick this book up, it's not partisan. He does mention his party politics and a bit of his political platform and what he hoped to do while he was in office. But I think that this book is balanced. I think he just as he tries to be, I think, in how he relates to people as he speaks, I think that this book also does a really good job of acknowledging the work that has been done by the other party, even when there's been opposition. He talks about how he has changed in some way or changed his mind on certain things because other people have brought things to his attention that he didn't know before. So I think he does a really good job of acknowledging lessons learned for himself, and also as he's trying to influence the reader. So if you are trying to make a decision about whether to pick this book up, this again is my invitation for you to do so and tell everyone that I sent you. Also, as Barack Obama himself would urge you, try to buy this book from a local bookseller, an independent bookseller if you can, a Black-owned bookseller if you can, and support independent or local businesses as much as you can. And I'd love to chat with you in the comments if you've read this, if you enjoyed this review, if you've watched my videos on Instagram. Would love to chat with you about this book if you pick it up, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to hear me talk more about books in the future. So thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll talk down there. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.